Just loading a few things into the trailer this morning that we didn't get done last night. Preston and I are leaving this morning for our week-long bear hunt up north in the Omineca Region. This is the third year that him and I have done this, fourth year I've been going up there. But we're grabbing some extra gear. There's a forest fire right next to the town that they've evacuated part of the town. We reserved a campsite in town, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to stay there. So we're going to fill up the tanks, grab some drinking water, grab the generator and our food. Get on the road and hopefully everything works out, but we'll have a plan B and plan C. Well, we made it. 8-hour drive. We are basically in the central part of interior BC. In the Omineca region for spring bear hunting. We have 4 tags this year, 2 each. But we got up here in the firefighters. Good job, firefighters. Got the fire put out last night. It was done this morning. So we don't have to worry about evacuation notice while we're out hunting. So we're just getting things organized. We did really well last year. We killed 3 bears in 3 days last year. So we'll see how this year goes, but we're gonna grab some dinner here in a few minutes after we get organized and head out, throw some game cams up and check a couple of our favorite spots. We look like hunters. We got our binoculars. Preston look like a hunter. Oh, going off the road. Okay, we're going hunting. So Preston's over here looking around. We haven't seen much sign up here, but I'm gonna see if I can strap a game cam onto that stump there, looking out this way. Everything's just really starting to grow here. There's a lot of bear sign in here the last 2 years, so that sign down on the road was a few days old. But let's see if we can get a game cam set up here and then work our way back out of here. We just got back to camp. It's been a long day. We got 2 places checked out today. The second one had quite a bit more sign and a couple of big bears moving through there. Last year we were in there and it was a fresh new clear cut and there was nothing growing in there. We did see a little bit of sign, but there's a lot more grass growing in there now. Seen some wolf tracks, sandhill crane tracks, but quite a few bear tracks all the way from the top to the bottom. So I threw up a game cam and yeah, finished up there for today. So tomorrow we're going on the other side, spend all day out dropping game cams off in different places and see if we can't find our first bear tomorrow. So see you in the morning. That's a big pile of bear crap. That's a big bear. One of the things that we're doing while we're out exploring this morning is just looking for sign, looking for tracks in the road. One of the challenges with hunting this area, part in BC, is that the timber is so thick and the brush is so thick that you're basically limited to hunting in clear cuts and back into areas that are open because there's just no open timber here. You can't there's no way to take off and go hiking through the timber, open pine. That's not like that here. So we're just looking for sign like this, and then if we see an area where it's concentrated and there's some side roads and open areas where we can hunt and hike back in, then we'll kind of concentrate our time there. Scat or bear shit is one of the things that you want to look for typically, especially if we've seen like 3 or 4 piles of this in the road here. This bear would be spending a lot of time here. This was probably yesterday. It's still kind of a lighter color inside. If it was dark all the way through and kind of hard on the outside, it would be much older. But this has been here for a while. It's kind of soaked into the dirt. So this is probably from yesterday. There's a pad of one here, but we walked right along. Preston's kind of tracking him through here. But here's a good example of one here that's pretty fresh. You can see the edges on that dirt are pretty sharp. Some places you can see where the little creases on the bottom of his foot pad were. So this track is pretty fresh. Definitely a black bear with the claws right close to the pads. If it was a grizzly, those marks would be 2 or 3 inches in front. But that's a decent sized bear and pretty fresh. And there's some older tracks in here too. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on down through here. We just seen our first bear. He's just feeding on the hillside right over there. That's a little bear. How do you figure it's yours? I told you when we were at the truck that there was one up here.
Because I remember as a kid, when you taught me about hunting sheds, you said, if you see it, you gotta call it, and it's yours. That's how you taught me.
Shit.
It's been up here for a little while.
It's a year old. It's not chewed up at all, though.
No, it's not bad. Nice little bull.
Keeper.
Definitely.
Good job, Preston. He distracted me with looking at a pile of big bear shit. But we're gonna walk up here just a little bit further, and then there's a big field over there that we want to go check out. We've been exploring a new area we've never been to before, and I think we found our spot. We've got a section of about 2 miles. It's got, the wind's blowing a little bit. It's got about 10 piles of bear crap along it. Some of it's older, some of it's really fresh. Looks like there's multiple bears here, though. The crap piles are not anywhere near close to all being the same size. That bear's footprints are right in their tire tracks. Yeah, look at, nice job, Preston. Preston made a perfect target shot. But man, this thing's, its paws are huge. This might be a 5-year-old. His noggin is big.
That's gonna be a nice skull.
That is a big bear. That is beautiful. Got your bear yesterday.
First one.
What are the things that we need to think about today that we're looking for to hopefully fill another tag today? What did we find yesterday that?
We need to find more concentrated areas of bear scat in the same area. More piles.
So we found, what, 6 or 7 and about a mile stretch.
Yep.
And we were in a little bit lower elevation.
Yep.
And they were all like along the road. Like we didn't do too much hiking or anything there. And there was lots of grass.
Lots of grass.
Lots of grass.
Lots of grass. Definitely tell he'd been there hanging out for a while, chewing on all the grass for sure.
Yeah. I didn't notice any other sign. Like we didn't look around too much, but I didn't notice any pulled up rocks or torn up logs or...
Yeah, not really.
And it was in a spot that was kind of tough with tracks because there was no way to see tracks off the road.
Yeah.
But after we went for our last hike, when we were coming out, when the sun was hitting the road just right, we could see his tracks where he'd walked into the road and walked right down the tire tread.
Right down the center of our tire tracks.
Like for a long ways.
Yeah.
And it was really weird because like it was right in between us going up the road and then we went for that little half-hour walk.
He had to have popped out right after we went past him. I mean...
Yeah.
Because
he was just walking.
He walked about the same distance that we walked from the truck.
One way.
Yeah, so by the time we were at the back of where we walked in, he was already on the road. So and then we caught up to him.
Yeah. And then he was standing in the road and then buggered off and then...
Yeah, I thought for sure when he jumped off the road, he was gone. But for some reason, he loved that grass too much. He popped back up and gave us a good clear shot. And
so with the weather being different this year, which it's obviously different because there's no mosquitoes, which is insane. It
is very weird.
They've been horrible up here the last couple of years. So what we kind of feel like we should replicate from yesterday is try to stay in a little bit lower elevation, like not try to get up real high.
Yeah, there's not really any grass up high right now, as we found out.
Yeah, there's none. There's none. I mean, there might be there's always a random one somewhere, but if we've got 3 more bears in 5 days to get, so.
Yeah, we really got to concentrate our efforts on the best chances we can give ourselves.
Yeah, so stay lower elevation, try to stay back in as far as we can.
Yeah.
Look for places where there's flat areas alongside the road where there's lots of grass, dandelions.
Yeah.
And
good water source. That means they're not going to wander too far for water.
There was lots of water down there where we gutted him out.
Good clean water service.
And I think the other thing is the time of day. I think if we would have gone there in the morning thinking that we would just be there at morning or lunch or whatever, I don't think we ever would have seen him.
No,
but it was an hour before dark that he popped out and walked down there. So I think when we find that area, is maybe go do some other stuff like we did yesterday and then go back there like the last 2 hours of the day and just spend some time there, find a place to set up the ground blind or, just walk up and down the road maybe.
And it kind of makes sense that he was only really out there in the evening just because of the consistency of the scat and how dried up some were and how some were regular. So he was definitely in there for a period of time, moved, came back. So he's really only hanging out out on the roads, it seemed like, eating all that grass right before bedtime.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of key things there to remember too, is that they're very territorial in smaller areas than they are because there's so many bears here.
Yep.
So their territory is very small. And you could tell by looking at his nose that he'd been defending his territory for a couple of years probably.
Yeah.
But also looking at the sign and being able to tell if it was a week old or 3 days old or if it was from that day. And what we found is that he'd been there for probably 2 weeks since the grass started growing. He'd been right in that 1 mile stretch of the road.
Yeah, because there was scat anywhere from a week old to a day old.
Yeah.
So.
And then just being there in the evening, I think he came out in the evenings and fed through the night and then disappeared, if the logging trucks and stuff were coming by, because he was at least a 4-year-old bear. That wasn't a young bear. Yeah. So he had some experience, which was weird because when he did decide to come out, we were right there.
He didn't really seem too scared of us either.
Ignored us completely.
Yeah, we weren't even there.
Turned and walked down the road and probably, I don't know, it seemed like forever before he turned sideways, but it was probably like 10 seconds.
Yeah. He probably only walked like 10 yards.
So we'll go to some new areas today, and we'll do the same thing we did yesterday. We'll just drive up roads. We'll hike some back country. We'll try to stay in lower elevations. We'll look for those green spots and look for sign, and then mark those. And then we'll whatever one we find the best, we'll just spend the evening there and see if we can fill another tag today.
Sounds good. Perfect. You're up.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's go.